Hello, guys. I am really glad to see all of you today. Please confirm that you can hear me and can see me well, because I saw there was some delay at the beginning. And yes, this is popcorn. Greetings to all your beautiful countries. Um, so, can you see me and hear me well? Please put it down. And honestly, I had to buy popcorn because it was funny. Like, we don't have popcorn everywhere in Ukraine, typically in cinemas. So I had to go to a local cinema that is nearby, get myself a popcorn, and the guy was trying to persuade me to buy something more, like cola or something, and I said no, I need it just for video and photos because honestly, I am not very much into popcorn. I would never buy it like because I want it, but the problem is when someone buys it, I eat it. So this was the day when I like needed to take it, and yeah, roses are to balance popcorn, and they smell very beautifully. I'm really, really happy to see all of you today. And this is definitely a day when we have what to talk about. I'm very grateful for your attention to all the news, support, and messages that I receive. Glory to Ukraine and glory to each of you who supports, who follows, who worries about Ukraine, and who is looking for our victory. Happy birthday! Uh, oh, I thought that you are 47 today. Yeah, there are ways to make popcorn, but I wanted mine to look that way, and I don't know why I don't eat it, but I have picked super cheese. Super cheese. Anyway, if you like this video and if you like events that recently happened on Russia, like the video, help it be more prominent. So, of course, I think today we will mainly speak about the events that take place in Russia. I know that many of you follow the updates, and you know that according to recent news, Prigozhin is taking his troops back to the positions. But don't worry, guys. Of course, a regime like Putin and a war like this cannot end in one day. But all the processes that are happening, they are really, really beautiful and very meaningful. Also, I would like to start with a huge gratitude to Martin and Spencer, who are beautiful dictators of this channel. I know they are doing the best job, and when I'm also glad that the majority of their task is not actually to filter trolls, but to coordinate, communicate. And when I read all these beautiful conversations that exist between you while I'm getting ready with my camera, I'm super inspired to have such a community. Um, so, it like I don't know. Of course, you have some questions, and you may ask these questions, and I will be glad to answer them from my professional Ukrainian perspective. I know that many of you like that. I'm a professional Ukrainian. By the way, does this phrase sound normal in English? It doesn't have any bad undertones, because sometimes when I joke and I feel like I know grammar or stuff, but sometimes you can get in trouble by using a wrong combination of words or something. So thank you so much for joining the stream. And let me explain to you. Hope you don't hate this phrase when I tell you I'm a teacher. That's why let me explain to you is a popular phrase that I use. Um, so greetings to Wisconsin and other beautiful places. So, yesterday, when this news appeared that Prigozhin is heading to Moscow, that he threatens Shoigu, I first thought it was fake. And it was just like I don't know, created something by Ukrainian intelligence services, because during the war such things are also important. They help to demoralize, to, I don't know, cause some panic or on country, to brighten up the spirits of Ukrainian warriors. So I did not post anything in the evening. I know I received a couple of messages, but like I did not intend to do anything until I am more or less sure, and I did not want to spread like something fake. But when I woke up in the morning, and I realized that something serious is like happening, and it was very entertaining and it was very interesting. Um, I cannot say I see that many of you are disappointed and say that in the end it turned out to be fake and so on. But it is not like fake. It depends on what you expect. I did not expect that Kremlin will fall today, Putin will commit suicide, and all Ukraine will liberate it today. This is a very long and complicated process. Today, we witnessed a real conflict. It was not fake, because otherwise Putin would not address the poor public. Not so many Western intelligence services and leaders were concerned. So it is not fake, the conflict that exists inside Russian, and oh my God, I cannot use this word when talking about them, elites. So this is about some conflict and aggression and rivalry and competition that is bright between guys, such things, I don't know who's asking that, like, what if they will go towards Kyiv? If they will go towards Kyiv, they will be killed and stopped. They cannot walk towards Kherson even, so they will not reach Kyiv. It's not like, is Kyiv standing alone? We have lots of people protecting our capital. But all of these signals, they are very and very important. So first of all, the conflict between Prigozhin and Shoigu was really long. It was present in Russian media, and Prigozhin was always careful not to talk against Putin directly. So he was mainly blaming Shoigu's son-in-law, who, by the way, is not in Russia, somewhere in Dubai or elsewhere, where the majority of rich and influential Russians mainly live. And thank you for becoming sponsors, and thank you for buying me coffees and teas. All of that will go on popcorn, because I believe there are many more things that are going to happen. Thank you so much, William and George and Yenny and Glenn. Thank you for buying me coffees. That is really inspirational. And did you want this war to end today? I did. I always wanted to end like today or yesterday, but it's real that it cannot happen that quickly, and we have to be patient. But these symptoms are symptoms of Putin's weakness and Russian weakness. And believe me, what is the most important for me personally in this today's day is that many of Putin's partners, allies, for example, in China or in even in Belarus, authoritarian regimes like Turkish one, they keep very close eye on what is happening in Russia, and they pretty well see that Putin is weak. And in their, how do you call it properly, in their predator community, because of them are like predators, any weakness is an example of a coming end. They are not about supporting each other. They are not about something like understanding. They are about eating who is weak. And for the majority of these authoritarian leaders, Putin is weak. He is also weak in the eyes of many Russian military and many Russian oligarchs and those who try to influence Russian politics. So today it was just the beginning, or it was just like a trailer of something that might happen in future in Russia. Do not get like disappointed that it all finished and Prigozhin stopped. Things like that will continue. Sometimes I feel sorry that I don't have enough time and enough resources to transmit you everything what we watch here in Ukraine. But one of the most like meaningful videos that I have seen today was actually mm, was actually the fact that we compared his speech before the start of full-scale war in Ukraine, before his brutal invasion of Ukraine. And thank you so much, Run Forest, before for coffee. And it was just like a very self-confident speech where he denied the existence of Ukraine, where he blamed that it is an operation for a couple of days, everything will be over, and so on. And compare his speech today. He was looking really unconfident. He did not know what to say. He had to say something. And he was talking about like betrayal. He was stabbed on with a knife in his back. The country is weak, existential dangers, and so on. So everything is fine. Like it could not finish today. And of course, this is going to be a long process, but the signals are very, very good. The signals are very, very good. When you look back into history, any revolution, any war, it cannot be short. Just at the beginning of everything, I was also very optimistic and at the same time very naive to believe that, like, in 2 weeks, in 2 months, this will be over. But now I realize this is a long process, and but this process demonstrates Russia's weakness. And I think, Obimaya Sestra, I think it's very important to start working on that, to start like thinking and imagining the world with a different Russia that has to be reshaped, that has to be cured, that has to be re-educated, and people don't have to be afraid of that, because this is what's happening. And of course, it is like a perfect scenario when we don't have to kill anyone in Russia and they kill themselves, like in these vast monster movies when one monster eats another monster and you're like not guilty of anything. And I think this is the scenario that may happen. But also, I would like to remind you, and in Ukraine, we all talk about that Wagner is not like a friend of Ukraine. Prigozhin is not the one who speaks about the end of war or like any support to Ukraine. He is just a similar monster. Remember those interviews with his soldiers where they speak about executions of Ukrainian children. So these are the guys who actually went to Moscow. These are not good people. These are not like soldiers who decided they don't want to fight with Ukrainians and they want something good. Thank you so much, David, for coffee. Like what? You cannot say cheers with coffee because this will sound weird and you will start thinking that I'm drinking wine again. No. Today I was able to watch Putin's address without any wine. Was just like good. The second message that I want to finish, and I will be able to answer your question, your questions. So please prepare the questions. So I'm sorry, I have some light here, and sometimes it turns off because it's not ideal. I've told you I'm not a professional vlogger. if you could only see my technology and the way I use it. Please like the video if you like what I'm saying, because this way you help more people join our channel. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe so that more of us can fight against Russian disinformation. What's happening to you? Prigozhin is also a monster, and his army is an army of monsters. And the only positive thing that can happen here is actually like that one monster will eat another monster. And you know, today in Ukrainian Facebook and in Ukrainian Twitter, there were lots of beautiful people who were saying that it's just like, we are supporting two teams of these criminals. Why? Because the more they kill each other, the better. And it's not like because Ukrainians are bad, but because perhaps this is the most logical and the most like physiological end to Putin's criminal regime. I also liked one comment. It seems to me a comment of a Russian oligarch who was also persecuted by Putin's regime, Khodorkovsky, who said like, I'm angry at my lamp, you know. Do you like this intimacy of darkness? What is wrong with you? So, just a second. It was about, it seems to me it was Khodorkovsky who spoke about that, and he claimed that like even Russian criminals in the army, prisoners in the army of Prigozhin could not deal with Putin's criminals. Like so, like both everywhere, everything is criminal in Russia. Of course, I don't think that Lukashenko played an important role as a negotiator. Because, you know, thank you, so beautiful. You are the light. That is very beautiful. Well, it gets jealous, this stuff, and that's why it turns off. So I think that it's important to remember that Lukashenko is totally dependent on Putin. And he is not independent, and of course he is not a negotiator. I cannot imagine a situation in which, for example, Putin does not have power and Lukashenko has. Of course not. So perhaps there were lots of negotiators and lots of things that were offered to Prigozhin to stop him. One of the things that triggered him the most is an order to that all private armies have to join Russian regular army. I think it's very likely that Putin has allowed him not to join this regular army. But of course, this conflict will continue. And many interesting things will happen in the next days. Okay, maybe not with tanks on the Red Square, but what will happen with Prigozhin? What will happen with Putin? Prigozhin is in great danger because he demonstrated Putin that he can threaten him. And the next thing is with Putin. Many people saw he is weak, and something unbelievable happened. For regimes, authoritarian regimes, what is the most important? Total control. And they create this image that everything is under control. Many Russians believed that in their country everything is under Putin's control. Actually, they have this perversion in their national character that they like everything is controlled. Something that may seem to you or to me as a limit of our power and our freedom, Russians often like. And when you listen to their descriptions, why they like Stalin, very often they tell you the things that you would hate. They call it like a strong hand. Personally, I don't like to feel a strong hand of my president somewhere on my throat. For me, it's a problem. We would fight against that. And um, and at the same time, Russians enjoy that. So there is a huge difference. Perhaps this is something that they have inherited from the Ords. They like it. They have this Asian hierarchical system. So another thing is that many people in Russia, Russian population, felt what is war. And they saw tanks on their streets. Many of them fled. And I believe that now a very big territory of Russia, including Rostov, Voronezh, Belgorod, and many other places, they are like in panic, and many people want to leave these territories. They try to escape, they try to evacuate, because I give you 100%, these territories are going to be hot in Russia. And obviously not just because of Ukraine. It's kind of beautiful when Russians eat each other. But once again, that is not something unusual for that very, very weird society. So it is going to be very interesting. And don't get, like, once again, as with Ukrainian counteroffensive, many people want something to happen in a day. It cannot be like that. It's just like, I don't know, a birth of a child. It takes 9 months. The same happens here. This is a long process. But honestly, tell me, please, could anyone imagine when this war started and so many countries who are today our allies, so many countries were saying that Ukraine will fall in 3 days? Then perhaps they thought Ukraine will lose half of its territory and will start negotiating with Russia. And now, after almost a year and a half of this war, what do we have? We have war on Russian territory. In many Russian cities, in many Russian villages, we have many people who see this is happening, war is real, and it came on their territory. And what it makes more beautiful from my Ukrainian perspective is that actually Ukrainians are not connected to that directly. Well, we are connected because what is our part in this Putin's failures and Russia's losing? That we are so resilient. With your help, with your supply, we are really strong to withstand and to fight back. And when we fight back, conflicts appear inside Russian society. And today we have witnessed a very bright conflict that will definitely have its continuation. Do not think like it will happen in a night, that Prigozhin will substitute Putin. And what? It will be just the same awful person and awful regime. What is important is that these things started happening. Lots of Russian oligarchs, politicians, and people who had an opportunity fled from Moscow. I like this joke, like 6 Putins left Moscow too, like all of his 2 doublets and so on. But their propagandists had nothing to say, and their people, Russian population, they witnessed these failures for decades. They lived with the idea that Putin is strong and everything is under Putin's control. They cannot protest, they cannot decide. Everything is controlled by Putin. And today they've lost this illusion. Keep in mind, in 2024, Putin has elections. Well, like, there are no elections, but believe me, it was really easy for him to fake the results, to control the elections, because once again, all these oligarchs, all other criminals in Russia, they believed that Putin controls everything. Now they see he does not. All the world and all his authoritarian friends saw Putin does not control anything. So anything can happen to Russia. And Ukraine is beautiful for the fact that we managed to debunk a lot of myths about Russia. First of all, about their army. I have quoted this joke and I will repeat it again. I like it. First, like, Russia claimed to be the second strongest army in the world. Then it was the second strongest army in Ukraine. And today it is even the second strongest army in Russia after Wagner Group. So there are many things that are happening, and don't believe like it will happen in a day. This awful, almost used the bad word, F word, but now, October Revolution. It did not happen in a day or two, but the symptoms are really uh, important. And don't you think that there are like always people, like if you have power, there are always people around you who want to take your power? Don't you think there are people around Putin who want his position? Don't you think there are people who want to continue, like to get back to traveling, to get back to their businesses, who see that they don't need this war? Some of these people are influential. Some of the countries and their intelligence services also interfere um, in internal affairs, and all of that is going to be happening in Russia. So our task is to think about future of Russia too, because like we have a plan for Ukraine. Like we need to rebuild, we need to do therapy for the traumas that we received, we need to join European Union and NATO. So we have plans for Ukraine, but what plans do we have for Russia? What will happen with Russia after we win? And I'm sure we'll win, because like, come on. Thank you so much, Damien, for 5 coffees. Thank you so much. So everything changed to everything is changing. So don't be afraid of Prigozhin, who returns back to Ukraine. Like he was in Ukraine for for months already, as nothing new happens. But like these quarrels, these conflicts inside Russia, they are beautiful, they are meaningful, they are signals for everyone, for Ukraine, for global leaders. Believe me, I enjoyed reading all of this, like Macron, Scholz, and other people. They did not know how to react, because in their minds, for a long period of time, and that's actually why some countries were so slow at helping Ukraine. They believed Russia is invincible. Like you cannot do anything to Russia because Russia is something eternal, like eternal evil. Okay, we understand this is a terrorist state. Honestly, but I'm talking too much, perhaps. I wish we could have like a conversation with you with like real answers that I could hear from you, but I'm trying to read everything. So yeah, I like it what you've said, that both Prigozhin and Putin are living on borrowed time. Yeah, you're right. They leave this borrowed time, and an end will find them. And I hope that all of us will witness that. And I was thinking today, like when I got very optimistic, that if it happens the way that Putin, I don't know, does not commit suicide, or his plane does not crash, and he is in The Hague. Is it the correct pronunciation? The Hague? Do you know what's the Ukrainian for the place where this international course takes place? Ha. In Ukrainian, it is ha. Ha. That's why I have this really weird. So how do I pronounce it properly? The Hague or not? Greetings to Sweden. So if he gets into this international criminal court, I promise you guys, I will travel there and we will vlog and we will like meet there. That's for sure. That's something that I want to do. Okay, anyway, I will try later how to pronounce the word correctly. And once again, so everything that happened today is meaningful and is important. Don't get like distracted that Prigozhin returns back to Ukraine. Thank you so much, Ben, for your coffees and your support, and the projects that are supported by that. So uh, I could not imagine something like that happening in Russia a year ago. It seemed impossible. Russia created this image. And today, just like you, first Ukrainians saw that, come on, we can win. We are actually winning. We are getting back our territory. And uh, that is just like very difficult. That costs a lot, but we are winning. And now the world sees that like Russia was working hard on the creation of, this myth that nothing can be done, like you cannot fight Russia, you cannot uh, uh, oh, I've remembered what I wanted to say. I don't know why leaders like Macron, I'm sorry, he doesn't watch us, I believe, so he won't get offended. And I do not equate Macron to French people, but like I'm not a fan of Macron. Like people inside Ukraine often joke on me that I'm like a Macron, like he's a trigger for me. So why, like, they believe that Putin is eternal? Why do they always think, how can we negotiate? How can we cooperate with him? How can we, what shall we do with him? Why, in their heads, he is like invincible and he is forever? We all know that even the best people die, even the best people disappear, even the best people lose their position. Same happens to the worst. So, why on earth, in the heads of many people who actually did not like Putin, but they could not imagine life without Putin? And I'm afraid there are still many of such who, deep down inside of their heads, cannot imagine like Russia without Putin or world without modern Russia. Everything is possible, you know. Uh, like um, 300 years ago, the map of Europe consisted of like various, how do we call that, like kingdoms and uh, dukes. They live, where do they live? How do you call the territory that belongs to a duke or a what are the other royal names? Like, come on, I know that all in Ukrainian, but like, oh my god, a topic I must develop. So Dutch. Uh, there are no duchies and kingdoms right now. There are no kings and all of that. So things can't change. People can change. Best presidents can change. So, like, of course, Russia, in the case with Russia, it must change. Like lots of things must change there. Um, Perhaps there were moments and months when Hitler seemed invincible, but look at him now, like he is a synonym of all evil, and there are no sane people on planet who will speak something neutral about him. I'm sure we will live to see the day when no one will be like, oh, Putin was a strong leader. Like, but I'm afraid we need to work really, really, really hard with Russia. But I receive. Do they deserve the opportunity to change? You mean Russians? Well, honestly, I plan to record the videos one time, like um, how to spot good Russians. I am like I live in a region that is very far away from Russia, and I find it as my personal blessing and happiness, honestly. And I don't have relatives in Russia, and I never had friends in Russia, even when I was like a kid, because like that's far away, and I'm glad. But of course, I understand that 140 million people cannot be killed and perhaps should not be killed. We are all not haters and um, not like killers or something like that. Perhaps like something should be done to them, but I don't know what, because um, all the nations, they like make mistakes. And by the way, what Russians do, they like to dig deep into your history, find something problematic in your history, and bring it back into your modern realities, and try to quarrel you with your neighbors like Poland, I don't know, Hungary in Ukrainian case. That's how they work. They are parasites in that. Thank you so much, Magnus, and thank you, John, for coffees that you buy. Thank you so much. Honestly, I want to drink some tea, so sorry, I spend many time drinking tea. Thank you so much. So there were lots of jokes about Lukashenko, who went to Turkey, and perhaps come, like we were writing this jokes, like I've read the jokes, um, that like he's looking for a friend or maybe a new brother, or he's coming and saying like, I have a mustache, you have a mustache, perhaps there is something that unites us. But anyway, I am sure that Lukashenko is going to be very stressed right now, because by the way, one of topics that you did not discuss, but I have read it in many publics in Ukraine, in Ukrainian Telegram channels, bonjour, that people are encouraging Belarus, to react. And some believe that, some were afraid that Putin will activate Russian troops in Belarus to, and in this case, I'm in trouble because like they are really close to me. And they are really close to me, and that might be like causes some inconveniences. Also, some others used this, promised to use this just on the country, and the situation on the country, and start democratic protest inside Belarus, thus encouraging Belarus people to protest against Lukashenko and liberate that country. So you see, I've read like so many versions today. Okay, thank you so much, Evis, if I'm reading it correctly. Like I like the story. I have always been, like multitasker. I'm really, well, at least I believe that I'm not bad at multitasking. I can do like a lot of things simultaneously. But for me today, it was really difficult to follow all the versions and all the news. I was scrolling and charging my telephone constantly, and there were so many versions of possible like future scenarios. And once again, those of you who recently joined our stream, I invite you like to surprise if you are like new. And I invite, I think that uh, the fact that Prigozhin is getting back to his positions, which he sees in Ukraine, does not mean that the situation is finished and like Putin is nothing happened. Like in any relations, in any like life, such conflicts, they always leave something. And so all of that, like is important, because this is a symptom that Russia is very ill. Well, I knew it as a Ukrainian, because actually their attack on my country is the result of their internal weakness, of their internal problems. And contrary to normal countries, they do not start solving their problems inside. They start attacking others, blaming others, saying that West is responsible, and so on. So this, of course, this is not like true, and they do not concentrate on their own problems. They like creating, you're right, criminal state. They like creating problems in other countries, and that's what they did with Georgia, with Chechnya, and now with Ukraine. And So yes, maybe as you say, sister, they are testing the waters. They are looking. So there were lots of versions. If you're interested, I can enumerate you many like versions that I have read. Version number one is that like conspiracy theories. Let's go first. Conspiracy theories that um, Putin does not know how to retreat, and he uses this idea with Prigozhin to call off Russian soldiers to protect Moscow and thus leave Ukrainian territories. No, I don't think it's likely. Because Putin does not want to look weak, and of course, this is a very, bad idea. Another thing is that they have invented this problem with Prigozhin to be able to blow up uh, Zaporizhia nuclear power station, so that it will look like a fight between different Russian troops, and we will not know who is responsible for that. So, of course, Putin was stressed because this was something unexpected to him. Once again, in various non-official but quite popular Telegram channels, what I have read is they say that Putin knew about the problems with Prigozhin. He knew about the conflict that existed inside, and he believed that his authority, his image, will stop Prigozhin from any actions, and just like that. Prigozhin will simply record videos, quarrel on that videos, blame Shoigu, and do nothing. But he actually did. And once again, the thing that he returns back is not like, oh my God, everything is lost. No, but what do you think will be after that? What is the next morning? What is the next press conference? Like, Putin was a loser today. He was talking about a civil war. Many people see it's very real. And I think that it's just like with any disease, like the symptoms are growing. Nothing normal will happen in Russian society. Putin will not change his tactics into something smart. They are falling apart. But the process of this active dying is always long. It's a long process. By the way, a very dangerous process. I agree with you. Because I had this metaphor somewhere at the beginning of my vlogging, like when if this huge monster body falls, it can actually hurt you. And this can lead to lots of troubles. Of course, they can, like, from one point of view, I don't think they will use nuclear weapons, but they can blow up Zaporizhia nuclear power station or something like that. They can do it. They can do lots of stupid things in Ukraine and hopefully in Russia, because that's the place where they belong. But could we imagine like Russian partisans doing something in Belgorod and Voronezh a year ago? No. Could we imagine Prigozhin leading his tanks? And by the way, they were not stopped. If he decided to come back, well, perhaps he got something that he wants, or there are some other reasons that we will learn a little bit. They are beautiful, aren't they? That we will learn a little bit later. But the problems, they already exist, and nothing can change that. And that is a very, very important thing that happened today. Prigozhin revealed Putin's weakness. Okay, he returns back. Good. With his 25 soldiers, he would not be able to change everything in Russia, but he gave a signal. He gave a signal to oligarchs. He gave a signal to other politicians. He gave a signal to other military. It is possible. You can walk lots of hundreds of kilometers in the direction of Moscow and you will not be stopped, and Putin will be lost. Don't you think that after this event, he will find lots of new sponsors. By the way, uh, they say that it is very likely nothing actually happened with nothing really happened with his Wagner group. Many say he was not like bombed or shot by Russian regular army, that it was a fake that they created to be able to start their march and to demonstrate their demands. And okay, they say that he was collecting weapons and money for months. So think about that, like a person pretends that he is doing his best in Ukraine, listening to Putin and so on, and in reality, he's doing lots and lots of things behind his back. And he managed to demonstrate his power and to walk in the direction of Moscow, to take Rostov, to take Voronezh, like in a couple of hours. They did not manage to do it in Ukraine when we were totally unprepared. And Russia is supposed to be prepared. You know, this is a country that has war for like a year and a half with another country. So they know, like, we were not prepared in the morning, 24th of February. Why? Because we were a normal country living our normal life. Russia is a very abnormal country having war. And they were not prepared. Prigozhin took Rostov and Voronezh in a couple of hours. They were totally under his control. And so perhaps now, after this, Prigozhin might have more power than he had before a start, and he can have more people who are ready to support him, and he can get more weapons, and he can return in a month or in 2 months, or he can get killed. But again, after you kill him, you may inspire someone else to continue his task. So Putin has got lots of problems, and he had these problems. He did not believe they were real because the problem of narcissists and psychopaths like they start believing their own fakes and their own ideas. But in reality, it is not like that. And today, like, everyone saw that, what's the phrase, like the king is naked or something. He's not the king. He is a coward. And Russia is not Ukraine. Believe me, if it was attacked the way we did, all of them would surrender. So I do think that, yes, Prigozhin is unpredictable, and we don't know what will happen in Russia, but many things will happen in Russia, and that is beautiful. That is important. Any problem inside Russia is good for us and the world. Why? Um, because, like, you will say, oh, that can be dangerous from this perspective of escalation and nuclear war and so on. Of course. But as long as Putin and people like him are at rule in Russia, or I will say, even what I really think, as long as Russia has nuclear weapons, we are all in trouble and in danger. So maybe it is start for those totally passive international organizations that still have much money. By the way, I've checked, like, the annual budget of United Nations is 3.4 billion. So maybe for this 3.4 billion a year, they can start drafting a document that will demand Russia, that will, like, develop a mechanism to denuke Russia after it will surrender, it will fall as a Hitler's regime, it will collapse, maybe many new countries will appear, and after that, uh, it will be denuked. Dear Pat and Lloyd, thank you so much for buying me coffees and supporting the channel. That's important. And many ideas, by the way. I have many beautiful ideas. What I want to do, I need more time. And on Monday, I have a last exam with your favorite students. And hopefully, we will have more time to develop some of the ideas that I have. So, like, do not, uh, what do you mean? You look better without extra light. Like, there is a joke like, you look beautiful in the darkness, like, because I cannot see you. Hope it's not what you mean. um, so, well, first, another thing that I want to say is that this is going to be really difficult, and the process, like, I don't know why I have this desire, and if I ever start taking interviews, I would like to speak about, like, the future of Russia, and the future, like, the future of Ukraine. Like, I know what we want, but the future of Russia is something that bothers me a lot. Something that I think we have to visualize, we have to construct, because this will be our responsibility too. And okay, so maybe, yeah, future of Russia is on fire. Yeah, but after that fire, what will come next? Oh, thank you so much, Martin and Spencer. And we've got 1,006 likes. I'm really honored to have you in my life. And this is important. A question about power grid in the months. Well, like, they attack, but we don't have problems with electricity on the major part of Ukraine. Of course, really close to front lines, people have problems with electricity, but all over Ukraine, we don't have it. And believe me, like, many are getting ready for winter already. The country to what we had last year, so, like, people are thinking about that future. So we are preparing, like, to everything, and we are very well trained. Uh, is there discrimination for Ukrainian or Russian couples? Well, I don't know. What do you mean by discrimination? If it is a Russian who assimilated in Ukrainian society and does not say that Putin is God, of course there is no discrimination. But if they say that Putin is good, then of course, like, there will be not just discrimination. Um, um, Good. Do you believe Putin actually ever could use nuclear weapons? I don't know. Honestly, I did not believe. I will tell you, like, I did not believe. um I did not believe this war is possible, because you see, like, Putin cannot win. Why should he start this war? And I'm convinced. I convinced this will definitely end modern Russia. This war. This will end. Putin, I do not believe, I don't want to believe a world where Russia can win. This war is possible. So I understand that without this war, Putin's regime could have continued maybe for 10 more years. With this war, I am sure he will win. You have this very interesting question that I will answer. Why do I say Prigozhin? You know that in Ukrainian language, we have two letters. One is he, and another is g. And once g was forbidden during Soviet times, because it demonstrated, it underlined one more difference between Ukrainian and Russian language, because we have different letters in the alphabet. So languages are not alike. And the majority of words in Ukrainian, they are pronounced with softer h, like, I don't know, hrim, thunderstorm, or hora, mountain. Ihor is the Ukrainian for the name. And in Russian, they have a, like, different g sound, and it will be, I don't know, Gara, Igor, and so on. Ukrainians who started speaking Russian would often use the Ukrainian version of soft h, and they liked mocking Ukrainians by that. So it's very common for a Russian to say, like, "Скажи ha," and like Ukrainians cannot. So this is the Ukrainian way. Thank you, Onuk Maestra, for visualizing what I'm saying. Yeah, so G is rarely used in Ukrainian language. This will be like gazeta, newspaper. But once again, because it was forbidden like for 70 years, it was out of alphabet. Now it's back into alphabet, but it was out of the alphabet. Many people stopped using it, and you will rarely come across a person saying gazeta. You will find someone saying hazeta. So that's the way we pronounce it. Yes, sister, you're right. I'm sorry if the sound is breaking up. Maybe the connection was bad, but like I did not change anything. So this is the way we speak. And once again, Russians, they liked mocking Ukrainians. That's their like another nations and cultures. Believe me, they mock your cultures, they mock your languages, they mock your leaders. That's the way they. Gazeta Wyborcza. Yes, I know that's a serious newspaper. Thank you so much for the sound support. So the Ukrainian will be Prigozhin, I would say. And by the way, honestly, it's not that I'm like a patriot. Ukrainian and Russian are very different languages, very different in vocabulary, in pronunciation. The closest to Ukrainian language is Belarus, and then Slovak, and then Polish, and only on the fourth place we have Russian. Well, like, why do you think that rebellion happens in a day? No, I think that this was a trailer to true Russian rebellion. It is just the beginning, and we'll see many interesting things. Yes, Ukrainian, I think, has similar features to Bulgarian. And first of all, we have a Cyrillic alphabet. Orcs mock Americans a lot. Like Americans, perhaps they're like number. I cannot say number one or number two. You know, you divide this number one and two place with us. Who is the greatest enemy for Russians? And actually, this is so funny how they hate everyone and how they hate West. But this is like so funny. They hate West and all of their children and all of their families. They live there, they work there, they buy houses there. And like, come on. I'm also glad to see all of you live. I love reading the questions. And yeah, I think that Wagner showed himself. Prigozhin demonstrated himself. And now I'm sure many new people will appear. I think he really stopped, and I don't think he's walking in the direction of Moscow, and he will not kill Putin today. But, and he is also an enemy. One more important thing, he's not a friend, he is also an enemy. But it's always good when your enemies have conflicts. And second, he when he I've lost the idea that I wanted to say, but like anyway, so many beautiful questions that I'm reading. But what made me actually forget this question was Wendy's question about what is the first thing that I want to do when I hear that Ukraine wins. I cannot imagine when will it be and what will be the moment, but I will honestly tell you what I had today a couple of times. I had this like feeling that I want to tell my mom, and that's really hard. this is just like, not that I want to be sentimental or I want to share something super like emotional with you. I'm a kind of more reserved person. But like, I have a trip soon uh, for our project, and this will be a very brief trip, like super brief trip to Lithuania this week, Vilnius, for a very brief tour. But and I have this like habit to visit my mom and like my dad before I'm going somewhere. So like not to check everything, and it's summer and everything is like growing, and like you have to take care of the grass, of some flowers and so on. So I was there in the morning today, and and I like going there alone because like I have more opportunities to speak, and I had this like very strong subconscious feel like when you want to tell what's happening to like a very important person in your life, you want to share it, you want like, do you know what's happening? And that's the moment like you really miss, because sometimes like I try to distract myself, and like I spend a lot of time like alone, and typically in my life I always like lived with people. I cannot tell you that I'm a kind of person that feels lonely when alone. Actually, I have so much communication in my life that I enjoy time with myself. I'm a kind of a weird person who likes um, you know um, who likes traveling alone. I like time with myself. I have this like, one of my friends tell me like people who have reached inner world don't need much. Like, so honestly, I'm not like the one who is like, if I don't have any plans for the evening, I will not feel like, oh my god, no, I will feel like so like, I don't know, is it a loner? I don't know, but I mean like, I'm a kind of person who feels very comfortable like alone. If I mean like, not when someone dies or someone is ill or something, but like when I know that everyone is okay. So for me it's okay not to be with like um well, like, can you call me an introvert with my vlog? I don't know if it's possible to combine like that and that. So I don't know if it's possible. But so I like want to say that like I feel totally okay with that. But then sometimes, like when I feel super emotional about this loss, so I try to distract myself with other things, because like it's really difficult when you like cannot distract anyone and so on. These are natural roses, and my zodiac sign is Leo. So I have birthday in August, and recently I had a funny situation. We had an excursion in Berlin, and this excursion was like connected to the Berlin Wall and this separation of Berlin, and it was like sad story, and and a guide asked, "Do you know on which day Berlin Wall fell?" And I was like, "Ha! On the 13th of August," and nobody like knew. And the guide was so like impressed that I'm so good. No, not in 1961. I was born a little bit later, like I agree that I'm not that young, but not 61. Not, but like 61 is not that big too, not that much, but a little bit like, 23 years late. So, and I answered like on the 13th of August, and the guy said, "Oh my God, you know so much. How come?" And I said, "Because that's my birthday. And also, I'm not yet 39. I will turn, like, don't add me age." So it was kind of funny because like I also Fidel Castro was born on my day. Like I don't think we share much in common. And it was also interesting that like we have one singer in Ukrainian, and she was always saying she's like 38 or something or 37, and then it was interesting that like when the war started and she had her first interview and nobody asked her, and she said like, I have to tell you something, I am not 38, I am 44. Because she said that during wartime you realize how like unimportant all of these things when many people, beautiful people, young people die, and you realize how everything is like, how do you call it, like very um, shaky. So it's all about that. So just like, yeah, I agree that like 40 is new 30. We'll see. Anyway, but so anyway, for me, like I don't know, like I am not that much concerned about age. From one point of view, of course, like you start thinking about it, it's natural. But from the other point of view, and especially like observing my mom's situation, you realize how everything like, and during war, you have so many changes in your life and in your attitude. Like anything can happen any moment. So what's the sense? Like I love my dad and miss him too. And he had this very beautiful phrase when my mom was like grumbling, like, "Oh my God, I'm getting older," and so on. He had a very nice word, like nice phrase. He would tell her, "Okay, you have this problem, you're getting older, but do you realize that tomorrow you are going to be older than today? So celebrate today." And I think like that's correct. So actually, I think that in general, thank you for liking my dad. I like him too a lot. So I think that like age very much depends on the way you feel. And from my personal observations, um, I think that like we do not age with years. I cannot say like sometimes I observe myself and I can tell you like 5 years and there are no changes. Honestly, literally. And then something really bad or emotional happens and you get aged really quickly. Because you go through something very emotional or very difficult. So I do think, um, greetings to your mom who had birthday the same. So I think like it's all very much in our experience, in our life. And I am a kind of a person that is very much of a child. Like it was my, I know that I grew up slowly, if it's possible to say. Like I liked being a child. I was never in a hurry of growing up, and I always like I felt myself very much like that. So for me, it was really difficult. Um, for me, it's really difficult not to have parents with me, because inside I feel like I'm still a child, and for me it's kind of absurd. Like sometimes my brain disagrees to believe in that, because sometimes you have this very grown up, and I'm not saying that I was not like, I'm not independent. I have always been independent since childhood. Most of decisions were mine, like. And other thing other things, and sometimes my parents depended on some of my decisions, and like I felt responsibility. So I'm not saying that I was like irresponsible as a child, but in my emotions, in my attitudes, and other things. So this kind of things that I still have to accept. Plus, many people they react very differently. Um, like recently, I was doing some papers because you have to do some papers connected with like mom's death, and it's always emotional. And there will be people like, oh my god, you're so, because like, yeah, I know I look young, and that's good. Like my dad actually like was always looking young, and he died young, like but he was 66. And oh, so we will celebrate your 70th birthday instead of my birthday on the 13th of August, because I don't feel like celebrating my birthday, like uh so and you meet some people and they will tell you, oh my god, you're so young and you don't have mom, and what about your dad? And you're just like, okay. So that's really difficult, and please be always sensitive with people you're talking to. But let's talk about something. Yeah, I'm just like a teenager too. But good. No birthday stream. Yeah. I would like to. Well, first of all, let's think how can we mark my birthday usefully. I'm thinking about some potential meetings or something, because like I won't be super excited to stay at home like without my mom for the first year. So definitely that's not something that I want. But maybe we can think of some meet and greet or something, because that might be interesting. Greetings to UK Oblast. But if you have some ideas, leave me in comments, and we might think on that because we still have time. And I'm going to be very open about what I dream to get as a present. And no, this is not something material, because I am not a material girl to that extent. I desperately want the community of our channel to grow larger, not because I will use it for, like, I don't know, product placement. I don't do that. But because I want more people to learn about Ukraine and our platform to grow larger. Thank you so much, Ed, for buying me coffees and just like mint tea to calm me down. Let's make us 100,000. That would be so awesome. Imagine such a possibility. So invite your friends, come on. If each of you will invite a friend, we will double a channel. So just that might be a joke, but that would be a very good possibility. Good. I see you are measuring age of each other, and we are losing viewers with that. So I'm 12 days older and something like that. So can you hear and see me well? Because I see that some people report some troubles. Someone asked me about a bike. I will tell you a funny story if you want it. And like when I was a child, my parents gave me a bike as a present, and I started crying desperately because I did not want a bike at all. And I will confess, please, people from the Netherlands, turn off your computers for a second. I don't ride a bicycle. I don't. Many people wanted to teach me, but I never really wanted. And I always had this argument, like that if I wished to ride it, I would. And So I don't ride a bicycle. And I wanted like a dress or something. I was always like into that. And I'm sorry, don't unsubscribe. I walk. So yeah, that's my coming out. But you have to be supportive, you're a community. Don't unsubscribe. Okay, maybe let's get back to some questions. We still have some time and I still have some tea. Once again, thank you for becoming my patrons. I would remind you that we have our beautiful merch store, and I invite you to check it. Our designer works hard, and very often he works from a shelter, bomb shelter, because in Kiev it's really like hard sometimes, and it is a good like tricycle. I think I can ride. Mhm. Um, so you can check, and I've received lots of photos of beautiful people in the t-shirts, and I'm sure that like I will share them soon. I'm thinking on how to make it beautifully, and that would be like they work as a perfect conversation starter. So if you're interested, go and check. So let's maybe have a couple of questions before the end of our conversation. I will keep you updated on all the important things. By the way, I swim. I swim really good. Yeah, we'll try to do more outdoor videos. Also, I plan to go to Kyiv sometime, maybe in July, because I have things to do there. And also, like, why not? Because I don't feel like having I don't feel like having a vacation. It's not the time. But uh, yes, I like, okay, questions. I received many interesting questions, and I'm just like checking the news. Maybe, no, nothing uh, that important. Okay, so it is hot in Ukraine right now, and but I believe that soon um, it will be getting a little bit colder. And by the way, those of you, if you think something wrong is going on with my hair, that's the way it looks when it's humid. I get naturally curly, but it only works with warm and wet weather. I do not commute to work. I will confess, like, I live in a 250,000 city, which is not big, but like comfortable for life. And it takes me 5 minutes to get to the university. 5 minutes. If I buy myself coffee, then it takes me 7 minutes. Then chauvinism. Have I experienced Russian speaking? Yes, I did. When I was in Crimea, when I was in Kharkiv, there were situations when people demanded me to speak normal language, not Ukrainian. So this happens sometimes. A tour of Rivne. Okay, Rivne is very close to me. Actually, in Ukraine, Lutsk and Rivne are two regional centers located really close to each other, perhaps the closest regional center, so it's not a problem for me. But once again, why is Khmelnytsky seen as a hero in Ukraine? Because he was fighting for at first, he was fighting for the independence of Ukraine. And he made a mistake when he signed an agreement with Moscovia, but he planned he will not die and he will be able to take back that agreement, but he kind of died. And that caused the problem. What do you mean? Did you oblige them by speaking Russian? I do not speak Russian. I did not speak Russian. Like, Russian was never my native language. So they wanted me to speak Russian instead of Ukrainian. Like you're asking, like, Moldova is an independent country, and that's good. My class has been well attended. My students are very decent, and they have a last exam on Monday. And I'm a strict teacher if you're interested in that. 5 minutes of walk, not driving, 5 minutes of walk. Well, Zaporizhia is in danger because Zaporizhia nuclear power station is under control of Russians, and they are totally careless. Um, and that's the problem. And they don't know how to uh, operate with everything. They don't allow experts on the territory. They have mined the territory of the largest in Europe nuclear power station. Like we are not allowed to smoke on the petrol station, and they have mined a nuclear power station. Of course, if something happens and it explodes, the problems will not only be in Ukraine, they will also be in Russia and many other countries. So this is a very big problem. Of course, there are lots of heritage sites near Zaporizhia power plant, but at this moment, like if it explodes, it's not just a question of cultural heritage; it's a serious question, like of life on this like huge territory of Europe and the world, because we all know what Chernobyl did, and like Zaporizhia power plant is 4 times bigger, and that's a serious danger. And the problem is that sometimes you get like you think you look at the actions of Russian army, and you think it's impossible for them to be so like stupid, to be so ignorant, not to care about anything in this world, and then you realize, oh no, it's possible. Uh, my favorite Zelensky quote. Honestly, I cannot tell you that we like quote Zelensky everywhere, but I love his speeches, and I think that, of course, people help him with speeches because they have so many beautiful things incorporated in them, and he does not have time to prepare. But also, when he speaks from himself, he's good at speaking. He's a very strong voice, and he is like artistic experience and like his communicative skills. Of course, they help really, really a lot. What's my favorite color? I cannot tell you. There are many of them. Like it all depends in clothes or in everything. Moscow is still one piece, but не, летаки летят, будем всех бомбить. That is definitely that is definitely something important. What hobbies do I enjoy? I love writing, guys, and someone asked me about the books at the background that I have on some videos. There are texts, my texts in these books too. I have cooperated with a Ukrainian newspaper, and I had a very beautiful rubrics in there, which was about like history, cuisine, but it was not like about recipes. It was about like some interesting things. And since the beginning of this war, I did not write much because, uh, plus mom, when you feel really bad, it's really difficult to write. And actually, telling you stories is something that substituted my desire to write, but I'm working on getting back to that. So that's my favorite hobby. Also, I love traveling, I love walking, counting dead orcs, and I don't feel guilty for that because why did they come here? What for? A lot of people play chess in Ukraine, and you can see people playing chess in parks. That is common in Lviv, in Kiev. Oh well. First, like will Shoigu fall? I think that Shoigu and Putin, they have already fallen. I don't remember who gave this very beautiful um, ha- ha- gave this very beautiful like comment that actually their time is limited, and I believe that. The problem is that while they are dying, um, they have they will cause lots of problems and lots of victims all over the world. they will try like all these monsters to take people with them, but uh, that's the problem. Are you asking a person that does not ride a bicycle if she has been surfing? Like that? No. Um, Also, about this Jewish rhetorics, I thought if I should record a video on that because, like, this is crazy. Um, Zelensky has Jewish heritage, and he was always proud of that, and it was never a problem for Ukraine. And actually, there are many people with Jewish heritage everywhere in Ukraine, like Ukraine, Poland, other countries that had lots of Jewish people who are a part of our societies, and we never had problems with that. And Russians, come on, they have so many Nazi like groups right now. They have so many ideas, and there are so many recordings that actually demonstrate the way they are fighting for, like, I don't know, like quoting them, white Europe and other things. And these are like things that are very ugly. And at the beginning of this war, a missile fell close to a very sacred and a very tragic place, where lots of Jewish people were executed by Germans at the beginning of the Second World War by Nazis. And this is a memorial, and Russians shoot a missile there. So I think it's very bad. But we are, yes. Okay, you were asking, uh, will I take you on a trip with me? If you want to. Do you want me to show you some Vilnius? I would do that with pleasure if you want. This will be, once again, a very intensive trip. The road is far away. The road is like long. And even though we have visa-free regime, we can spend like lots and lots of hours on border. And sometimes that's kind of, you know, humiliating, honestly, because I have never had this, like, since my childhood. I remember like university years crossing the border, and like being suspected that you are leaving your country to escape or something. I have never planned to be. Are you hiring for a job of Minister of Culture of Ukraine? If you're hiring, well, you could consider me. I cannot tell you that I like this, like, very strict hierarchical works, but let's talk. So, when you are crossing the border, and so many people like are checking you, I never like borders. Like, you don't, many of you do not have that experience anymore. And bye bye, those to you who have to go. And perhaps we will soon finish our stream so that you're able to enjoy your Saturday more. And okay, I would like to run summer courses, and I would like many of you to see Ukraine and to experience Ukraine, because it's beautiful. And there are many things that I want to show you. And I think that in future it might be possible, because both culture, nature, history, food, and even war places. Because at the beginning I felt really negative about. I felt really negative about war tourism and the idea that so many people want to see it. I felt like that's too sensitive. But having seen many places destroyed by Russians, I realize it is important to see. So I think it's important to see, and I do not judge those people who will come in future. I honestly think that that is important, because only when you see it, and the fact that Zelensky took so many politicians for Bucha and Irpin that are now rebuilding, and of course they don't look that depressive as, for example, Mariupol is now under this orc occupation. And I think it's important. It will be important for those of you who want to come and see and like realize what war is. It's going to be like sensitive. It's going to be difficult, but I mean only for those of you who want to experience that. Okay. Also, so let's just like sum up our meeting today. You see, a teacher in me speaks. Well, first of all, do not get distracted or disappointed that like Prigozhin did not kill Putin today. It's predictable. But all the problems that happen inside the Russian society, all the conflicts that are bursting, and you see that with each day, with each month, more and more conflicts appear. And of course, now many people, greetings to America, many people saw Prigozhin and his act. Many people started doubting more in Putin. Many of his authoritarian friends saw his weakness. Many Russians will question their safety right now. Many oligarchs and criminals will be ready to support the coup against Putin. So they will just like hopefully eat each other. But of course, this does not happen in a day. So let's just observe, and there are lots of things that we have to do inside Ukraine, cleaning our territory to the borders of 1991. We want only ours, and we want to be able to build our country to move into the direction of the European Union and NATO. And of course, I will be very, very happy to invite you to my country. You know, that's such a weird feeling. And so many of you tell me, come to Canada, come to Denmark, and I cannot tell you, come to Ukraine. I cannot invite you to my country right now, but I dream that there will be a day when I will be able to invite you and hopefully to show you more. Also, I want to thank very much all of you for coming, but specifically Spencer and Martin for being my super friends and superheroes who do a lot of job inside the channel for a very long period of time patiently. And I really like it. I really value your help, guys, and you're just like a part of the family. Thank you, John, for buying me coffee. And also, I want to thank all of you, all the community. Let's make 100,000. You can do everything. I believe in you. Can you imagine what a birthday party that would be with 100,000 subscribers? I would feel so serious with that. Sasha is fine. Everything is good. Sasha was working on our videos, and tomorrow you will see a new episode, and let me know what do you feel about it. Once again, thank you for buying me coffees. Thank you for becoming my patrons. This helps to develop the channel. I'm very grateful. This helps Sasha, this helps our designer, and this helps me a lot. And there are some new projects that I'm not going to talk about because like I'm talking a lot and I'm not doing enough. So I have to start doing enough. And also, if you wish, I will show you some Lithuania this week. But of course, I will also be like following the things happening in Russia, and anything can happen any day. If this war taught me something, that is definitely that everything is possible. Everything bad and everything good. So we have to be like ready. Yeah, we know. We know. Okay, I will pass, Sasha. Love that so many of you say, and beautiful raccoons, and beautiful people. I value all of you. Thank you for this evening, and let's just like read some news. What's happening in Russia? And once again, don't get disappointed. Serious changes, serious revolutions, they take time. They take time, but we will win because, like, come on, Who wants to live in the world with Putin's? Nobody. And we will clean the territory from all of that evil. Thank you so much for all of the support that I feel. I love you very much, and Slava Ukraini.